Welcome to Concrete Block. I'm your host, Walter. Today, we're diving into a significant development in the world of international trade and politics. A recent court ruling has curtailed President Trump's authority to impose tariffs, a move that could have far-reaching implications for the global economy. The decision has been met with a mix of reactions from foreign governments and economic experts, with some hailing it as a victory for free trade and others warning of potential consequences for American businesses and consumers. To break it down, President Trump has been using tariffs as a key tool in his trade negotiations, imposing duties on goods from countries like China, Canada, and the European Union. However, the court ruling has limited his ability to unilaterally impose these tariffs, potentially weakening his negotiating position. This could lead to a shift in the dynamics of ongoing trade talks, with other countries possibly becoming less willing to make concessions. On the other hand, some argue that the ruling could provide an opportunity for the administration to recalibrate its tariff policy and find more targeted and effective ways to address trade imbalances. The move could also lead to a decrease in prices for American consumers, who have been bearing the brunt of the tariffs. As we delve deeper into this story, it's essential to consider the perspectives of all parties involved. We'll be examining the potential impact on the global economy, the reactions from foreign governments, and the possible consequences for American businesses and consumers. The ruling has also sparked a debate about the role of the executive branch in trade policy, with some arguing that the president's powers have been overstepped. As we explore this topic further, we'll be discussing the potential long-term implications for the balance of power in Washington. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Concrete Block. Welcome back to Concrete Block. We're diving into the complex world of international politics, where tensions between the United States and Iran continue to escalate. The situation is multifaceted, with various factors at play. On one hand, the U.S. has been vocal about its concerns regarding Iran's nuclear program, while on the other, Iran has threatened to retaliate fiercely if attacked again. It's essential to consider the historical context of this conflict. The U.S. targeted nuclear sites in Iran in June, and since then, there have been ongoing negotiations and military buildups from both sides. President Trump has repeatedly threatened to strike Iran if it does not reach an agreement on its nuclear program, stating that Tehran better negotiate a fair deal. However, the reasons behind a potential attack are not entirely clear. Initially, the threat of strikes was linked to Iran's crackdown on nationwide street protests, but now the focus seems to be on demands for Iran to end its nuclear program and potentially even undergo regime change. Experts argue that foreign policy has rarely been a decisive issue for midterm voters, but with the current military buildup in the Middle East, President Trump may have limited options. If he fails to take action, he risks being seen as weak internationally. Conversely, if he proceeds with airstrikes, he may face significant political backlash, particularly from independent voters who will be scrutinizing his handling of the situation. As we navigate this intricate web of international relations, it's crucial to consider multiple perspectives and potential outcomes. The situation is delicate, and any misstep could have far-reaching consequences. We'll continue to monitor developments and provide updates as more information becomes available. Welcome back to the show, folks. We're wrapping up today's Concrete Block with a look at the latest developments in international trade. The U.S. Supreme Court has made a significant ruling, overturning tariffs imposed by the Trump administration on certain imported goods. This decision is expected to have far-reaching implications for global trade and economies around the world. The tariffs, which were introduced as part of the Trump administration's America First policy, had been a major point of contention between the U.S. and its trading partners. The Supreme Court's ruling has been seen as a victory for those who argue that the tariffs were unfair and hurt American businesses and consumers. But what does this mean for India, one of the countries most affected by the tariffs? According to experts, the removal of reciprocal tariffs will free up about 55% of India's exports to the U.S. from an 18% duty, leaving them subject only to standard most favored nation (MFN) tariffs. This could be a big boost for Indian exporters, particularly in sectors such as gems and jewelry, textiles, and pharmaceuticals. However, it's worth noting that the Trump administration has already responded to the ruling by imposing a new 10% global tariff on all countries, which will be effective almost immediately. This move is seen as an attempt to save face and maintain the administration's tough stance on trade. As we go to press, markets are reacting positively to the news, with the Indian stock market outlook looking upbeat. Export-facing sectors are expected to benefit from the ruling, while metal stocks may see some disappointment. The U.S. stock market also ended higher, with the Dow 30, S&P 500, and NASDAQ Composite all finishing in the green. That's all for today's Concrete Block. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, stay informed.